Welcome to All Good Things. I am excited every single week when I join you and I bring on people who educate, inspire, and leave us fuller. But this week feels a little bit different. I'm more excited than I've ever been, and I'm also having more people reach out to me, more DMs, more text messages than I've ever gotten for any guest I've had on. Jesse Itzler is a powerhouse. He is building his life resume, as he says, but what he's already done in his resume is nothing short of remarkable. I'm so thrilled to bring him here on the program because one of the main things that I've heard from many of my followers who were so excited that I was having him on was he saved 2020. He is the reason that I pushed myself a little bit harder than maybe I would have, that I got up and felt good about the day, and he joins me now. Jesse, I am so happy to have you.
Lynn, how are you?
I'm so good, but I have to tell you, Jesse, these are really informal chats, and never have I done as much research for a guest that I've had on. And it's honestly just because every time I hear you speak, every time I watch an interview, you leave me feeling like I want to be a better person. And my number one question to you, because I've gotten it from everyone who's DM'd me or texted me that they're so excited to see you on, is how in the world did you and your family save 2020 and were so positive throughout the whole thing?
Well, I have 4 kids under 11. I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
We had to make the best of it. But yeah, we had challenges just like everybody else, but a lot of things weren't closed. We got outside a lot. We went on a lot of, we bought an RV, Lynn.
I saw.
Let me cut through the chase. So we had it, we turned it into adventure. But it was tough, just like everybody. It still is. We're homeschooling 4 kids right now. So it's still challenging, but listen, I'm 53 years old. My window is like I'm looking at 80 in the face. 80 is like only 20 something years away. I can't let Corona take a summer away from me.
It's that positivity and that determination that separates you, I think, from everyone else. There are a lot of very successful entrepreneurs. You've built 3 businesses and you have a empire. You've also done a myriad of things that run DMC, manage DMC. I mean, it's like your life resume is already packed, but you always seem determined to add something else on there. Where does that come from?
First of all, I'm going to use the word myriad. What's the proper pronunciation? Is it myriad or myriad?
It depends on how fancy you want to be.
How did you say it?
Myriad.
I am going to.
But I'm from Ohio.
No, I'm going to use myriad. I'm using myriad today, and I'm going to use it in this conversation at least 3 times.
All right. So then, what is your myriad of emotions?
What was the question?
So it was just talking about sort of how you constantly try and push yourself and what it is that it's like you always want to add one more thing. Where does that come from?
It's not that I want to add one more thing. I just think that I am a big check the box and move on guy. A lot of people, I think, to a fault, celebrate their wins, never let go of their wins. Like, I ran the marathon in 1999. Okay, that was 21 years ago. And that's amazing. But to me, I celebrate my wins and then I look for the next thing. Because I really, 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 and you've heard me say this, Lynn, about building your life resume. I like to stack as many accomplishments as I can. I like to go wire to wire every day. So when I finish something, I'll celebrate it for a minute, but I don't own a Marquis Jet t-shirt. The company I started and was built for 9 years. I don't own a Zico coconut water t-shirt. I have no pictures of those eras hanging in my office anywhere. Like, it's just, it's done. And I kind of look through the front, the front of the front window and not the rear view mirror.
And that's where you find that motivation. That motivation is pretty incredible, but you also have the determination to follow through on it, whether it's like hundreds of miles that you're running or challenging yourself in different ways to be healthy. And that's something that we all face, is just hitting that rut where we're just not making any progress and we can quit and just say, all right, I tried it. That was great, but you're determined.
Well, I try not to negotiate with my goals. I try to, if I set a goal, I try to, even if the horizon is long. Listen, I wanted to make a documentary last year about the cereal industry. I'm very passionate about food, and I wanted to make this documentary, and it didn't happen. And I didn't beat myself up over it. I didn't like say I'm not going to do it or I'm quitting. I just, that timeline got extended. The goal didn't go away. I didn't it's just the time frame got extended. So not everything lands for me. In fact, and I fail, once in a while. I wouldn't say a lot, once in a while, but I don't negotiate it. I don't say like, okay, if I'm going to set out to do, a 10-mile run and I get to 8 miles and it's hot, and I could say, well, that was an amazing day. I did 8 miles. That wasn't the goal. So I don't play that in my head. Like, and listen, I set out to get a publisher for my book, Living with the Seal, which is the first book I wrote. And I went through 12 publishers that said no. And there were many times where I was like, the book's not good. Like, there's no book here. There's nothing. But my goal was to get the book, to find a publisher. It didn't have to be the biggest publisher, the best publisher. And I found a small imprint that gave me a shot, and it became a #1 bestseller. Now, that's not to pat myself on the back. It's just that, you're going to get 10 or 11 no's. And I think those no's weed out 90% of the people, 95% of the people. And there's a certain mix of 4 to 5% of the people that just are relentless with their forward motion. And I try to be relentless with my pursuit of things,
Yep.
Yeah.
I say that to myself all the time. All of your no's are getting you to your yes. And I've had book proposals out there for 4 years. I'm still getting the no's. I'm still motivated to push myself in every which way. And it may not be that. It's just, how do you push yourself to achieve whatever it is that you're looking for the purpose of that project to be? And I, have heard something. It's actually Jerry Seinfeld that said, in your success, keep your head up. In your success, keep your head down. In your failures, keep your head up. And that positivity will push you on into the next thing. And you started, you were like, riding your bike to go to recording sessions in New York. You think back on those days, what's it like for you?
Well, before I answer that, I just want to say that if I would have gone to 20 publishers I would have gone to every publisher, every single publisher. And if they all would have said no, I would have self-published the book. I wouldn't have allowed their decision to crush my dream. So, I always go right to the end of the movie. And the end of the movie was having a book out. And then I have to fill in the script. And that script for everybody takes twists and turns and obstacles and whatever. But that end goal has to be unwavering. And I believe you have to, I wouldn't even say visualization guy. I just, in my mind's eye and my brain, I go to that end and I play it out. I ran the marathon before the marathon happened 10,000 times in my head. It was almost like when I got there, it was like, oh, now I have to actually do it. I've already trained and done it in my head. I have the medal already. You're going to make me run it? Like, why? But that's how I did. That's really my process. It's always like, I have everything is gigantic in my head before I start it. And some of them come to fruition and some of them don't. But they don't start with small, like wishy-washy dreams. I dream big. And I dream bold, and I try to fill that in. Yeah.
And you visualize your results. That actually is a practice that I think is successful 1,000% of the time, when you visualize your results, the power of that. I don't want to glaze over your best-selling book, Living with the Seal. That's something that I really wanted to talk about, because learning more about David Goggins and just learning more about how that relationship came to be and what you learned. You literally invited this stranger into your home to live with your family. And take us from just the moment you decided that he was going to change your life and why, to him being in your house and what that did for you.
Yeah, well, I met him pre-internet. So I met him when no one knew who he was. And we were both on our own different stages of our journey. I wasn't even married when I met him. And which is just me. I'm going back to like 2006. No, I saw him at a race. He was like 285 pounds. We were both running a 24-hour race. His goal was 100 miles. He was doing it alone, and I was doing it with a team of 4 friends. And I was just like, who is this guy? Like, he was so big. He had no supplies, no crew members, and like, I said, like, I just was attracted to that, whatever, like, this guy was fighting through, and he had a really tough race. So I Googled him and I cold called him, and I went to have a meeting. I was like, what makes a guy like this tick? 285-pound guy. He had broken a bunch of bones in his feet and continued to run. And we had a meeting, and I was like, I'm not going to get his secret sauce, like whatever drive this guy has in a lunch meeting. And I just asked him if he would come live with myself and my family. And then, like a couple of days later, he's at our breakfast table.
That's like the vegan chef.
Right. But I didn't write the book until like 6 years after. I didn't invite him to like write a book.
Yeah.
I had this amazing journey. We were friends for a long time. And then like years after that, and he still wasn't on social media, and neither was I. Someone asked me to write a business book, and that was a chapter in the book. And I'm like, no, that's the book. Yeah. And we flipped it at the last minute, and then that was it. And then we put out Living with the Seal, and it did great.
And the viewers are chiming in here saying how much they appreciated the book, not just appreciate it, but change their lives. And I think the takeaway that I got from it, the motivation for David was where he came from in his life. He took all of his negativity and he turned it into positivity. And it doesn't matter where you come from. It doesn't matter where your circumstances are. As long as you live in positivity and you push yourself and you push those limits, you will and you can get to what you achieve and you want to achieve. I mean, what other takeaways do you hope that people learn from your experience? Because you're still living some of the things you learned.
Well, I mean, there were so many takeaways and lessons for me in the book. He had a very simple, what's interesting, Lynn, and as I get older, what I've realized is that, I go to my mom for a lot of advice, right? My mom, she knows everything. She's been around. She's 87 years old. She's seen it all. But what do people do when they get older? Like all my friends that are getting older now, what is the one common theme that they all have? They downsize, they simplify. They're not buying bigger houses, bigger this, more fancy watches. They're like really going towards simplicity. And I love the simplicity of his life. I didn't want to get rid of my swimming pool. I didn't want to get rid of what I had, but I wanted some of that simplicity. And, if you can marry that, and even now I have a lot, knock on wood. I've been so lucky, Lynn, but I still have it today. I worked out, I ran 8 miles, I'm going swimming. Like, I just have more brown rice on my table than I had when I was coming up, but I still try to keep it simple, Yeah.
Which you worked for. I think that's the other thing is it's hard work and determination. You also have a lot of fun, Jesse. I got to say, you bring so much joy to Instagram. Your mystery machine alone. I have not seen you around Atlanta driving the mystery machine. I keep my eyes out, but you took this van, you have 4 children, and you took this van and turned it into a mystery machine for Halloween. It just brought us so much joy.
I think, I like to have fun. I like to have fun. And I think it's important, even in business, I try to laugh every day. I try to make, instill humor wherever I can and just have fun. Like, again, it's so funny because when you're young, not that I'm like this old guy, but like when you're young, you can go through periods of intense aggravation for the reward. Like, high aggravation for high reward was completely fine with me. I would work 21-hour days and go to meetings and laugh at jokes that weren't funny and go to, and just because I wanted to be in business with somebody, I would smile when I don't like, and then now I want low aggravation. Like if it's high reward, but high aggravation, like I don't have time for that with people or with business or whatever. So if I'm not having fun at this stage, I really try to, and that goes with people, work, projects, whatever. I try to get out of it, you know? And
How
it's
do you,
different in your 20s and 30s. It's
right?
different in your 20s and 30s because you have to go through that.
You have to hustle. You have to build your business. You have to build your career. And now you're at a place where you have that luxury after all that hard work. But at the same time, obviously, your wife, Sarah Blakely, brilliant businesswoman in her own right, creator of Spanx. I mean, she's a powerhouse. The two of you are at the top that you can possibly be, but you're also so grounded in your parenting, in your family unit. You have pancake Sundays. I mean, you are present as a parent, and it's proof that you can have success on both sides of the relationship and be there and present as a parent. How are you successful at it?
First of all, like when you define success, to me, success is being good in multiple buckets. So it's being a good father, good husband, good son, good at business, healthy, philanthropic. Like you got to check a lot of boxes. And for anybody who thinks like, oh, this guy's so successful, not me, I'm just saying in general, someone's so successful because they have money or they're posting stuff next to airplanes and all this other stuff. That just means they're rich. Like, that's cool. But I know a lot of people that are rich that aren't happy or like that I really want to hang out with, you know?
Yep.
So success is being good at all those buckets. And success should only magnify who you really are. So if you come into money and you're a great guy, you should be like the best guy. If you're a jackass, you're going to be a really big jackass when you get money, you know? And so for me, I just hope that it magnified, you know, like you're talking about things that like, and you're saying it like, the way you said it, Lynn, and I love you, Lynn, this is not a knock on you. It's almost like it's shocking. Like, oh, you're married and you have like a good marriage. And wait a second, you like being around your kids and you're doing good at work. Like, that's like, you said it like I'm one in
How do you
billion
do
people.
it?
But isn't that like what we should be? Like, what people think normal is so completely broken. Like, because the divorce rate is now 50%, obesity is whatever, cancer, 1 in 4 American males will be diagnosed with cancer in their lifetime. All this now is normal. I think I saw a statistic of how many Americans have $1,000 in savings over the age of 35. It's like less than 5%. I mean, it was like crazy. This is all normal. And it's like, you asked me, like, I'm nuts. But I'm just living what like we all should.
It's just being a good person. I'm
Yeah.
successful. Being successful means being successful in every bucket that you have. It's funny. Someone chimed in, Jesse for president. Just think about it. But you know, when your
Sarah
children,
for president. Sarah for president.
now when you think about it,
good for what would I be if I was the first husband?
would you?
First man. I'd be the first man.
Yeah, you know, now that we have
First
the
gentleman.
first, yeah, the first gentleman. Now that we have the first husband in the vice president's office, you're right on your way. Sarah for president. There you go. But you have this challenge that's just a reality of the position that you're in, where you have to teach your children to be as motivated and determined when they don't have the circumstances that you had growing up. My dad, he came to the States when he was 4, and they didn't have a penny. They just literally, like, he didn't speak English. We're going through the application process for kindergarten. He's like, Lynn, I didn't go to kindergarten. I didn't go to the first grade. I couldn't even speak English in the 2nd grade. And he went on to be the assistant secretary of the Department of Energy. He's like, Lynn, you will be who you are because of your hard work and who you are as a person. And how do you teach that to your children when they're surrounded with a lot?
Very, very difficult. I look for examples in my life of friends of mine who have amazing kids that have the same kind of listen, it's a great problem to have, but that have done a good job navigating that. I owned a private jet company. I've been, since I'm 29 years old, I've had access to fly on private planes because that was the business that I was in. So my kids see that. They get to do that too sometimes. And that's, try to explain that to a kid and like, well, how did that happen? Or, So I think, look, they have to be respectful. They have to be polite. They have to check all those boxes. But I'm not going to give up my lifestyle that I worked hard for to teach a lesson to my kids. I'll teach the lessons when they come, but I'm not going to give that up. So I have to adapt and create a system that makes sense and teach them differently than maybe other people would. Or certainly my dad owned a plumbing supply house. He wasn't flying in private jets, but he never missed dinner. We had family dinner all the time. I never miss a game. I coach their basketball. I wake up. I mean, I invest a lot. They're incredibly loved, like ridiculously supported by Sarah and I. So all that stuff is, it's great that we have it, and I wouldn't trade it, but they get supported on the other side.
Yeah. Noah Rothman's asking, what was the realization that you had that sort of kickstarted everything for you? Was there some moment in life that put you on this path?
Well, I've had a bunch of big moments in my life that have validated I was on the right path. So the first one was when I got a record deal, because I got rejected from every record company. And then I signed with a company called Delicious Vinyl out in California. And that really showed me about, again, what we talked about in the beginning of not giving up on your dreams and not negotiating your goals. So, and I had 3 different partners in music that all were like, I'm done. I can't handle it. I was just able to persevere through and stick with it. I wasn't better than anybody. I just never, ever gave up on that dream. And that included riding my bike 21 miles. That included going to underground clubs. That included getting rejected, waiting in offices for 9 hours for someone to tell me they can't meet me today. Even this, Lynn, I was pitching a deal to Apple at this stage of my life. I was pitching a deal to Apple, and I flew 8 times from Atlanta to California to have meetings. So that's a 6-hour round trip. That's, call it 7 hours. That's like 45 hours of flight time on Delta. And sometimes I flew there this is like 3 years ago, just to hand them my brochure because I wanted the face-to-face, and then I would go fly back. Like, I still put in that energy to get that done. Like, it's not like a coincidence, like I put a lot into it. So when I got that record deal, I was like, whoa, if I don't get, it sounds so easy or simple, but that's just the reality, man. I didn't give up. I got a deal. It didn't work out for him. I mean, I got the deal. I ended up getting dropped from the label after one album, but my point is I was able to get the deal. And then I was like, whoa, I can get deals. Like, I can figure out how to get into rooms. I can figure out how to get an assistant to get me a meeting. Like, I got all these skills. I didn't have a choice.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really good at getting meetings. And I got really good at meetings. I got really good at getting what I wanted out of meetings. And so that was my first real, because I was 21, 22 years old, 22. Experience with that. Like, I didn't have a lawyer. I didn't have anyone. I did it all on my own. And that was a great lesson that, like, wow, all I need is me.
Yeah. It doesn't matter whether you get the no's. I mean, you mentioned you still got to know. You had this documentary that you wanted to make on the cereal business, and you still, and I'd like to put it out there, you have offered the CEO of Kellogg $150,000 to do an IG Live. I am just as passionate about the health of our children and the products that are pushed as fun. And, I have to explain to my kids why they can't have candy in their bowl for breakfast, and you can't get them to answer your call. And I think that this is an important documentary to make.
Oh, it's coming. It's definitely coming. And, what's funny about the interview with the CEO of Kellogg's, I'm not mad at Kellogg's for the products they put out. I'm mad for how they misrepresent it as nutritious, and they basically bait and switch people. And I'm mad at that, the false advertising, the deception, the marketing, and the targeting of kids and inner city families more so than anybody. And they source their products in all the schools. It's just, there's a whole chain of issues. All I'm asking for is to do a little 15-minute interview on IG Live for charity, $100,000. Now it's $150,000. But I'm giving them all the questions in advance.
What are the
It's not like,
questions?
I'm not like saying to him, I'm coming in here like with this, I'm giving you, man,
Right. We
all
don't
the
do
questions.
that. We don't give questions in
Right.
advance.
Here's what I'm going to ask you. Let's just talk about these 4 things. It's not like I'm trying to like get him in a corner. Like, I just want, and these guys preach transparency. They preach like, oh, we're fully transparent. Let's have a transparent conversation.
I want to ask this
I'm pissed,
question.
Lynn. I'm
What?
pissed. I'm
I'm
pissed
pissed too.
off.
They're putting whole grain on Cinnamon Toast Crunch and it's got like 30 grams of sugar. And, especially targeting lower income areas where you can't afford to go to Whole Foods and get an organic cereal, or you can't, this should not be something that is accessible only if you have money. That divide needs the inequities in healthcare. This is just one of the facets of it. If this pandemic's taught us anything, it's that is more prevalent now more than ever.
Whoever said I should run for president, all the food regulations would change. So you might not want me. If you don't like carrots and celery and you don't like fruit, then I would be a bad candidate.
Let's
That's
talk
the
about
first
fruit.
thing I would do. Listen, you asked me earlier about like success and how having fun. All that goes away if you don't have your health.
Let's talk about health. I
You
do.
could have the biggest dreams. You could have $1 billion. It all goes away if you don't have your health. Listen, Lynn, if you had all the money in the world and you're on vacation, but you have a sore throat, every time you swallow, all you think about is, man, how do I get rid of this sore throat? You're not thinking of your billions of dollars or your sports team or your helicopters or whatever you have. You just want to get rid of this damn sore throat, man. And that's just a sore throat. So, I mean, health is everything. And, I that's my biggest investment. I invest in my health. I invest in the food I eat. I invest in my relationships. I invest in the experiences that I take, my trips, my working out. That's why I run all these races and personal development. I like to listen to, I don't read books. I read like personal development books, and things that get me feeling good and thinking right and speaking right. That's where I invest my money.
I mentioned the vegan chef. So you met a vegan chef on Instagram and invited her to live in your driveway and make meals for you. You're vegan. You also only eat fruit until noon. You say that is like completely life-changing. I mean, the funny thing is that your wife is like popping sodas and Cheetos. I mean, how is that dynamic between the two of you? Do you try and change her ways when it comes to that?
No. It's challenging, but she can make her own decisions, and she's entitled to do whatever she wants. So I don't.
And we're not so bad if we have Cheetos every once in a while.
I don't like the whole concept, Lynn, of moderation, because I think moderation is an excuse. So I don't really. Well, I'm an extremist, so it's easy for me to say. But if you have a Diet Coke every day, and that's only a Diet Coke, like it's just moderation. Well, no, that's not or an ice cream cone. That's 3,000, 65. That's 365 in 10 years. That's 3,600 ice cream cones. That's gonna get you. 3,600 Diet Cokes. Oh, it's going to get you over time. So moderation is cool if it's truly moderation, but not if it's an excuse. And people use moderation in everything. Oh, I'm going to have a piece of cake, moderation. I'm going to have a couple of drinks tonight, moderation. I'm going to do this thing, moderation. But like all those moderations add up to accumulation, so you got to be careful.
I want to end on this question because I think this is the reason I wanted to have you on. Your motivation and your philosophy is needed right now. And Vincent writes, how do you find your purpose? I've read both of your books and I've loved them. Right now, I'm trying to figure out what to do next. Being unemployed and over 30, I'm feeling a bit defeated.
Yeah.
Right now, a lot of people need your words of wisdom on that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if I'm an expert in that. I would just say that you find your purpose at the intersection of what you love to do. So I would ask myself, like, what do I love to do? What am I really good at? And do those things help people? So like, if you could figure out what it is you love to do and it's something that you're really good at, that's where you want to be. And if it's something that helps people, like that's the trifecta. So that's where I would start. I start by asking myself a lot of questions, what do I like to do, and what I would start there.
What do I want?
Yeah. Lynn, you're an amazing interviewer.
Jesse, I
You
should
should
tell
maybe
you
think
this.
about doing this. You
You're an
should think
amazing
about
interviewee.
No, you should think about doing this for a living.
You know, it's funny. I was thinking maybe I should try a different career change.
I think this could be good. You might see you found your purpose. You're good. You like what you do. You're good at what you're doing, and you help people. You are in an amazing lane. So you're a perfect example of that. And
it means a lot to me. Thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, if I ever need somebody to interview, I'm going to call you, Lynn.
You've made my day.
I'm serious.
You've made my
Where
day.
do you live?
I live in Atlanta.
Where?
In Buckhead. What, you think I'm going to give my address here? Okay, Jesse. You think it's like day one in this business? Yes, my address to come, leave.
You know what? I don't forget your address. Just share your credit card numbers.
Exactly. And my social security number is, you're persuasive, Jesse, but you're not that persuasive. I'm gonna meet you one day here in Atlanta. You are just an amazing, amazing gift to the world of positivity, motivation, determination, all the things that we need right now. And it's why I wanted to. I reached out. If you don't know, I actually just reached out to Jesse on DM, and I was like, you don't know me. But I try to bring positivity to this platform, and you're perfect for it. So thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. I'll see you in Atlanta.
All right. Take care.
Okay.
Thanks for the time.